Sanyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptumayo gataha yoga yukto munir brahma nachirenadi gacchati.
Ayogataha, the last word of the first line of, Ayogataha means without yoga, without karma yoga, without going through, without mastering, without gaining the result of karma yoga, without having the chitta shuddhi that comes from the performance of karma yoga. Without that, dukkham aptum. Earlier, if we remember, Bhagavan had said, sukham pramuchyate. Easily we attain. Here, Bhagavan is saying, dukkham aptum would be very difficult to attain. That's what it means. Dukkham aptum. What will be very difficult to attain? Sannyasa, the state of sannyasa. And if the state of sannyasa itself is difficult to attain, the result of sannyasa would be practically impossible to attain. That is what Bhagavan is saying. And then he says that the yoga yukta is a person who performs karma yoga, who is harmonized through continuous performance of karma yoga. That person is a munihi. He becomes a muni. Muni is a person of contemplation, one who has done Shravana and Manana, and one who is capable of Nididhyasana. That is a munihi. So this person will be finding it very difficult to attain the state of the person who is ayogataha will be finding it very difficult to attain the state of sannyasa, while the yoga yukta, one who does karma yoga, is a munihi, becomes a munihi, which means the person can perform nididhyasana. And such a person, brahma nachirena adhigacchati. Nachirena, chira is delay. Nachirena means there is no delay, without delay. Without delay, adhigacchati, attains or goes to. Adhigacchati means actually goes to. Goes to what? Brahman, Brahma. So Bhagavan says this earlier also in the chapter 3, verse 4. He says, Na karmanam anarambam, by the non-performance of karma, of duty, karma yoga. Naishkarmyam purushosnute. So by the performance of, or by the non-performance of karma yoga, a person does not reach the state of total absorption or actionlessness. And then he adds on again in chapter 3, verse 9, he says, Tadhartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. For that sake of what? At that stage, Bhagavan is talking about sacrifice of yajna. For that sake, perform action. And free from all attachments with excellence. Samachara. And now Bhagavan adds, Ayogataha dukkham aptum sanyasaha, which means without going through all of this, without getting into the details, without mastering, without performing excellently, with excellence, samachara, without all of that, would be dukkham. To get sannyasa would be difficult to get sannyasa. To be in the state of sannyasa would be impossible to get sannyasa. So in the Indian Army, there is this, seemingly mundane inspection that we trainees had to go through. It was called Patti Parade. Even the name conjures up, crazy memories for me. The Patti Parade, okay? As you're aware, uniform in the Indian Army is sacrosanct. It is of utmost value, okay? And there are different kinds of uniform, forms of uniforms for various occasions. So from obstacle training, when you're doing obstacle training, you wear a different kind of uniform. When you're doing drill, like marching or other kind of drill, you wear a different kind of uniform. When you're at weapons training, you wear a different kind of uniform. When you're firing or shooting weapons, you wear a different uniform. When you go to dinner, you wear something else. And when you're in ceremonial attire, that is a completely different uniform. And there are many more such uniforms, okay? So this in Patti Parade, the platoon, the group of trainees would be assembled in front of the instructor and he will shout, 3 minutes, obstacle, which means in 3 minutes, you go wear the uniform meant for obstacle training and come back. So all of us would scramble. we would run into our barracks like, our entire life depended on it, and in a lot of ways it did, and change into the uniform that was commanded by the superior and run back and assemble in formation again in the platoon within those 3 minutes. Okay. Those who took longer, they will be told to step out, and they'll be dealt with later. And those who came and assembled on time, there would be an inspection of what they have worn, the uniform that they have worn. And the inspection was strict, in terms of the cleanliness of the uniform. I mean, a weapons training uniform or a, obstacle training uniform is very difficult to keep it clean, because you are rolling on the mud, the grease of the weapon, all of that. Okay. Cleanliness, wrinkle free, no wrinkles. Crease lines have to be perfect where they are meant to be, in the exact right position. The buckles either shining or dull depending on the kind of uniform. For example, in a camouflage uniform, they should not be shining, right? And how many shoelaces are visible outside of the trousers? In a different, in a dangri, for example, possibly all the shoelaces have to be visible or will be visible, and it's okay. But in a ceremonial attire, only 2 laces have to be visible, and that is given. You cannot change it. Okay. And many more such details which seem extremely minor but are of critical importance. Now, believe you me, one didn't know if their uniform would be checked. Like, I'm standing out there, I have no clue whether I would be checked. Ideally, I would not want to be checked, but I didn't have a clue. And even if I was checked or not checked, the last thing I want to be is wrong. Because anytime you did not get it right, then the inspection, they are devils. Okay, the inspection devils. And not only are they inspection devils, they are also masters in magic. So the exact time when your uniform is wrong is when they will point out to you. Otherwise they ignore you. But exact time when you're wrong, it will be pointed out. Now, all of this will take another 3 minutes to 2.5 to 3.5 minutes, depending on what the instructor is pointing out. And then you are still panting because you ran and all of that. Okay. And then next order would be barred. 2 minutes, weapons. And then you go back, run back again, change, come back, and assemble again. Now, by the time 5 or 6 rounds of this quote unquote patti parade is done, we were all half dead. And our cabin was in a complete mess. Okay. I mean, a teenager's room would look like a beautiful, impeccable room in comparison to our cabin. A complete mess it would be in. Okay. And if you thought that this was the end, no way. There was something called cabin cupboard inspection. And then there was another thing called patti parade inspection, which is a combination of the two. So patti parade inspection is, you have had this patti parade, you're all exhausted, your room is in a mess, complete mess. And then the inspector will say, 15 minutes, I will come for your cabin inspection. So you run back into your barracks, you run back into your cabin, and then you have to set everything right. And sharp after 15 minutes, the instructor will walk in and he will inspect every nook and corner. Is there any dust? Is there any dirt? Is there any sand? And in a place like a Belgaum or Chennai, it's impossible not to have dust or sand. Okay. Every nook and corner would be checked. Is the bed laid properly? Is it tucked in well? Are there any wrinkles? Is the blanket and the pillow placed in position correctly? How many inches from the head of the edge of the bed is the blanket in? And those kind of things would be checked. Extreme small little things, in detail to the centimeter, whether the position of the blanket and the pillows are correct or not. And then how is the cupboard arranged? So we took out 5 or 6 of those uniforms in the patti parade. How is it that they have been arranged now? Are they arranged in order? Are they in their places? Because each of the uniform, has a designated place. So are they all back? Are they hung properly? Are they looking shabby? Are they in perfect shape or not? All of that would be looked into. The nature of this punishment, or the nature of any fallout of things going wrong, that was not palatable at all. Even if something is minutely incorrect, the nature of punishment would be very physical and also mentally quite torturing. So one better get it right. And like I told earlier, the inspector devil magicians, they will always point out, they know who are the people who don't get it right. And those are the guys who have to go through it again and again and again till you get it right. There's no way you can escape it. So some stage or the other, every cadet, every trainee will get it right. Because if you don't get it right, you're going to go through it a million trillion times, without any excuse. Now, this may seem stupid, in terms of what's going on, the torture, all of it. Okay. And these are officer trainees. Okay. Do you treat officer trainees like this? But it serves an extremely important purpose. And what is that purpose? Instilling all aspects of karma yoga in all the trainees. And what is this all aspects of karma yoga? Ultra focus into detail, small detail, big detail, all kinds of detail. Ultra focus, not just focus, ultra focus. And the aspect of perfection in performance, excellence in action. Everything has to be excellent. There is no excuse. There is no, way that you can fall short of it. Every minute detail. Ultimately ensuring that you are doing everything samachara. So that kind of instilling, again and again, what does that do? And Bhagwan's favorite word is samachara. Without doing that, it is going to be very difficult. Dukkham aptum. What is going to be very difficult in this case? For you to graduate as an officer in the prestigious Indian Army. Okay, that's going to be very difficult. And even more difficult would be when you're in the battlefield without instilling this kind of sense of deep discipline that goes deep into the core of the person. Without that, it will be impossible to win the war. It will be difficult to become an officer. It will be impossible to win that battle. So this was something that we used to go through, which was very, very trivial in some ways, but extremely important if you look at it. So it is extremely important to have this aspect of karma yoga in oneself, and only then is it possible, whether your goal is sannyasa, or whether your goal is becoming an army officer, or whether your goal is whatever. In order to perform work excellently, one has to go through karma yoga. There is no shortcut. Bhagwan says there is no shortcut.